I inherited millions. But I wasn't supposed to. I was never meant to be rich. In fact, for most of my life, I thought I was cursed. I was the forgotten child, the background character in my own family. My parents loved my older brother, Jason, like he hung the damn moon. He got the best of everything: attention, praise, gifts, opportunities. Me? I was the accident. The oops baby. They never said it out loud, but I saw it in their eyes. Every time I asked for help with homework and they brushed me off. Every time Jason got a brand new phone while I used his broken hand-me-down. Every time they smiled at him like he was the second coming of Christ and glanced at me like I was a burden they had to endure. So yeah, when my great-uncle David, the mysterious rich relative we only saw on holidays, passed away and left behind a multi-million-dollar fortune, no one, and I mean no one, expected it to come to me. Especially not Jason. Let me backtrack a bit. Uncle David wasn't exactly the warmest guy, but he had this presence. The kind of man who walked into a room and everyone shut up. Old school money. Silk suits. Gold watches. Sharp tongue. I barely knew him, but every time I visited him as a kid, he treated me like an actual person. Like I mattered. He once said to me, "Jason's got the charm. But you've got the eyes of someone who sees through the bullshit. That's rare." At the time, I thought he was just being weird. Now I realize that was the moment everything changed. Fast forward to the funeral. Cold, rainy day. Black umbrellas. Forced sobs. Jason faked tears for the cameras, while I stood in the back, quietly staring at the casket, trying to process that the one person who ever truly acknowledged me was gone. After the service, we were invited to the reading of the will. Jason strutted in like he already owned the place. He even whispered to me, "Watch and learn, little bro. This is how generational wealth works." I didn't say a word. The lawyer cleared his throat, pulled out a thick envelope, and started reading. And then, boom. The bombshell. I, David Thorne, being of sound mind and body, leave the entirety of my estate, including all assets, properties, investments, and personal belongings, to my great-nephew. Not Jason, but Evan. Silence. You could hear the blood draining from Jason's face. My parents gasped. Jason stood up, knocked over his chair, and shouted, "What the FCK?" Everyone turned to look at me. I just sat there, frozen. I thought it was a joke, a mistake, some cruel prank. But the lawyer nodded, handed me a second envelope, and said, "Mr. Thorne wanted you to read this in private." Jason stormed out, yelling that he was going to contest it, that there was no way in hell Uncle David would choose me over him. And honestly, I kind of agreed. Until I opened that envelope. Inside was a letter, handwritten. "Evan, if you're reading this, I'm dead. Sorry I didn't say goodbye properly. I was never good with that stuff. I've watched you grow from a quiet, overlooked boy into a man with the kind of integrity I feared this family had lost. Your parents, your brother, they've always been more concerned with appearances than substance. You stayed kind in a house that didn't value you. That's why I'm leaving everything to you. Not because you're perfect, but because you'll never let the money own you. Take it, build something real. And if your brother tries anything, don't hold back." I read it 3 times before the tears came. It wasn't just about the money. It was the first time someone chose me. But Jason? He wasn't going to let it go. And what came next turned into a nightmare. Jason didn't even wait a full day. That night, while I was still in shock, sitting in my crappy apartment holding the letter in one hand and the legal documents in the other, he showed up. Not with flowers. Not to say congratulations. But to demand what he thought was his. He slammed the door open so hard it nearly came off the hinges. "You think this is funny?" he shouted, pacing like a madman. "I didn't do anything," I said quietly, still numb. "He chose me." Jason laughed, a dry, bitter sound. No, he didn't. There's no way he'd give all that to you. What did you do? Manipulate him? Guilt trip him? Did you forge the damn will?" "Jason, it's legal. I have the lawyer's statement, the video confirmation. I don't give a FCK about lawyers." He barked. "This is my inheritance." He got in my face, eyes bloodshot. I could smell the whiskey on his breath. "Give it to me," he hissed. "You don't deserve it. You don't even know what to do with that kind of money. You've always been the quiet little loser, now you think you're better than me." I didn't answer. Because deep down, a small part of me felt exactly what he was saying. I didn't know what to do with it. I was terrified. But I also knew something else. If I gave it up now, I'd regret it for the rest of my life. So I said the one thing that pushed him over the edge. "No, Jason, You don't deserve it. And that's exactly why you didn't get it. He swung. It was fast, brutal, caught me in the jaw and sent me crashing into the wall. Blood filled my mouth. My vision blurred. He didn't stop. He came at me again, fists clenched, screaming like an animal. But something in me snapped. All those years of being ignored, belittled, shoved to the sidelines, they erupted all at once. I shoved him back, hard. He slipped, crashed into my coffee table, and groaned. I stood over him, panting. Get out. Don't ever come back. He glared up at me. This isn't over. And he meant it. The next week was a war. Jason filed a lawsuit, claiming the will was forged and I had manipulated our great-uncle while he was mentally unfit. The news caught wind of the story, air battle, brothers clash over $1 million inheritance. Reporters camped outside my building. I got threatening DMs, hate mail, even a brick through my window with a note that read, liar, thief, burn in hell. I knew it was Jason. But I couldn't prove it. My own parents went on local TV saying they believed Jason should have been the heir, that I wasn't ready for that kind of responsibility. That one hurt more than the punch. I felt like the entire world was trying to rip this away from me. Like I wasn't just fighting for the money, I was fighting for my right to exist. And the worst part? Jason almost won. In court, he brought everything he had. Fake emails. Photoshopped messages. Testimonies from friends who claimed I pressured Uncle David. It was brutal. I sat there, listening to strangers lie about me while Jason smirked across the room like he'd already won. But then, something changed. On the fourth day of the trial, the lawyer played a video. Uncle David had recorded it just weeks before his death. In it, he looked straight at the camera and said, "If you're watching this, that means my nephew Jason tried to steal what I've given to Evan. Don't let him. I've known the kind of man Jason is for years. This is no mistake. Evan is the rightful heir. Period." You could hear a pin drop. Jason's face turned ghost white. I'll never forget that moment. Ever. It was justice. Real, undeniable, on-camera justice. The judge dismissed Jason's claim immediately. I won. But victory didn't feel sweet. Because even after all that, I wasn't happy. I was rich, yes. But I was alone. No family. No friends I could trust. Just a bank account full of money and a house filled with silence. And then, I opened the second letter. Uncle David had written two. The first was to explain the will. The second? That one changed my life forever. The second letter wasn't a legal document. It was personal. Handwritten. Scratched, ink smudged, with commas crossed out and corrected. He didn't write it as an uncle millionaire. He wrote it as a man finally ready to tell me the truth. Evan, if you're reading this, then everything went as I planned. But there's something you need to know. Jason wasn't just my nephew. He was my son. I froze. The words on the page began to blur before my eyes. I was with his mother many years ago. Back then, I was broke. I had nothing. We broke up before I knew she was pregnant. He grew up never knowing the truth. And when I saw the man he became, aggressive, greedy, hollow inside, I realized that staying silent had been one of the biggest mistakes of my life. I tried to help him, money, attention, connections, but it only made him worse. You, Evan, you were different. I watched you, quietly, from afar. I saw how you struggled. I saw how you never gave up. I saw how you never envied anyone, even when you had nothing. That's why I left everything to you. Not because you're better, but because you're honest. But know this, you now carry not just my fortune, you carry my guilt. Forgive me for everything. With love, David. I read the letter at least 10 times. Jason was his son, and I was just a nephew, yet he chose me. Not because I was family, but because I was the right person. I sat all night holding that letter in my hands. The next morning, I knew I couldn't just spend the inheritance. I had to do something with it. Something bigger than houses, cars, yachts. I decided to build a foundation. A foundation in David's name. For people like I used to be. Those who grow up in the shadows. With no hope. No chance. I poured millions into it. Not just money, I poured my soul. And you know what? Jason tried to sue again. Said now that the truth had come out, everything should belong to him. But the judge said just one thing. This isn't about blood. It's about choice. 2 years have passed. My foundation has helped over 600 kids. Jason? He's still yelling to the media that he was robbed. But no one's listening anymore. And me? I live. I finally live. And sometimes, when everything is too quiet, I take that letter. And I whisper, "Thank you, David. I won't let you down."